This is Celebrate at 19 Hawthorne, the podcast, where we explore the creative process of planning your wedding. So, welcome back to the Celebrate Everything at 19 Hawthorne podcast. I'm Chad Hughes with 19 Hawthorne.
And I'm April Spencer from Spencer Sugar Shop.
And today we have Ashley Stuart with Ashley Ray Photography with us to tell us a little bit about being a photographer and give us all the behind the scenes of what it takes to make amazing wedding shots.
I'm super excited, super honored to be here. Thank you so much, both of you for having me.
So, Ashley, I have questions for you. Lots of questions.
I've got answers.
Because I shot for a little while, so I'm excited to hear a little bit about like how you decided that you wanted to be a photographer.
Yes, that is a story I love to tell because it's a unique story, I guess, of when I was in fifth grade. I was one of those kids that fifth grade is when I was like, I want to be a photographer someday. That literally has never left me. And I got my first camera as my engagement present, senior present, my senior year of high school. My parents gifted me a DSLR camera, Nikon, and from there I went to college, had my first wedding, and never looked back since.
And did you go to college for photography?
I didn't, no.
Okay.
So the I guess beautiful part about it is I'm self-taught because that is something that I always wanted to do. So I always had an interest since fifth grade. I was always taking pictures and, just taking pictures of everything and just kind of feeling out what I like to do, what I don't like to do, and really how to maneuver a camera. So I went to school then for graphic design. So I couldn't decide where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to do something in the photography field, but Huntington University, it's in Indiana, and that's where I felt like I was supposed to go, but they didn't have a photography major. So knowing that I felt like God was calling me there, I went there and majored in graphic design, knowing that goes hand in hand with a business and how to run things. So I love all things marketing, graphic design, podcasting, video, photography, all of the technical behind the scenes stuff. That's kind of like my forte.
Now, do you think that having that degree definitely sets you apart and helps you be a better wedding photographer?
I would say so in aspects of it. My background, like I said, there's graphic design there. There's always been a creativity about me. Yeah. And there's always been a bigger mindset, bigger city, kind of big dreams, go after the big things that nobody else is doing type of thing. So I did that. I've had a TV background, did commercials, and was on TV 44 for a while hosting that kind of thing. And so I don't know, just all the different aspects I think have kind of led me to know what to look for, what's I always like to be one step ahead of the game. So I just kind of see trends coming and going and kind of pivot from there.
So tell us about how Ashley Ray Photography came about. Like, we obviously know your story and kind of how you got interested in photography, but when it came to like, I'm going to shoot weddings, I want to do this as a business. Yeah. Like, when did that light bulb click?
That in fifth grade, no, sort of a little bit. I started out doing seniors because that's kind of, so I think it was my senior or junior year of high school. I was in the yearbook staff, and I did that mainly so I could take home the camera during the weekends for the football games. Yeah, but then I could shoot
there with you.
Yeah,
like you have
I could shoot whatever
camera.
I want. Yeah, so during the weekends I would grab my sister, and she's 2 years younger than me, but we would just do fun shoots of modeling or whatever. And then like my friends were seniors. That's kind of where it took off. And then I did my first year of college, still doing kind of like engagement sessions a little bit, dipped my foot in that. My first wedding actually was my uncle. Yeah. And I did it for $300, which he was like, what do you charge? This is his second wedding. So I felt pressure, but I wasn't like, I don't know what to do, you know? So I charged him $300, and that was before social media really existed. So like Pinterest, Instagram. So I literally asked people to bring their wedding albums to his wedding, and I would literally like copy poses and do it that way.
That's so
and
funny.
But it just like that wedding though, I knew from then on it was weddings there on out. I've always had a heart for weddings. Well, weddings more so marriage.
Yeah.
I've always had a heart for marriage, and so I always think, if you're gonna get married,
Yeah.
I really want to focus on the marriage part, because the marriage is more the lasting thing than the wedding, but the wedding brings you to the marriage. So
Right.
yeah. So I've always had a heart for marriage. That's kind of like my why of wedding photography. It's just being together and finding that right one and leading a life well lived.
So how long now have you been shooting, and how long has the company existed? And you have a studio in Ada now.
do,
Tell us
yes.
a little bit about all that.
The studio hasn't quite opened yet. I've had it. We've had the building, but because I'm primarily a wedding photographer, the studio's coming. But my husband does construction, and he has his own business. We're both self-employed, and so
You're last on the list. That's what that means.
kind of, not really, but no.
Now, do you see as that does come to fruition, like, do you think you're going to change a little bit and maybe not do as many weddings or just more expand it? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I want to always lead with like experiences.
Yeah.
So I kind of imagine having my studio being more of like, have 15 different types of things throughout the year that people can sign up for, and just make it a fun thing, just a part of the community. I really want to immerse myself into downtown Ada and just make it fruitful and bring people together. And pictures are always like sometimes the last thing that people invest in, because it is expensive sometimes,
Right.
But if they see that it's the first thing that they look at when somebody passes away, or anything, any big moment, pictures are the first thing and the only thing that you have left.
Right.
So
After the moment's over.
yeah,
That's it.
Right. So yeah.
Well, I think that goes along with what we've said through the whole podcast, is that your wedding day is so fast.
Oh my gosh.
We've talked about the small moments that you try to like hold on to because they are so special, but in a day that's so hectic and crazy and like pushed through. Like I remember my wedding, like looking back on photos and being like, oh, that happened, because it is just so like boom, boom and quick. And so like, do you ever have couples super excited because you caught that like one like really special moment with like grandma or something cool like that?
Yeah. So the beauty of working with my husband is he kind of takes on that role of candid shots. And so he likes to be a fly on the wall anyway. So, but it leads me to be more of like the bigger picture type of thing. But we definitely, I'm more of a documentary style photographer anyways. And so I love those real moments. I love capturing people's authenticity, their true relationship together. I think that's what really sets photos apart and helps you remember throughout the day, rather than candid photos or rather than post photos.
Right.
I love the candidness of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from an industry standard wise, how long have you been shooting weddings?
Yeah. I meant to answer that question earlier. I'm going on 19 years. This will be my 19th year.
Nice.
So
06.
Yes. 06, like I said, was my
We're
first
like
wedding.
the same age. We like started. That's so interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Should we go there?
I'm 37.
Oh, I am too.
Yeah.
I
I was
didn't
gonna say
realize
we're
that.
like the same. We both went to school for graphic design.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my goodness.
so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
You're
I
like
know.
my twin. Who knew?
Who knew?
My creativity twin.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys both. I mean,
Right.
we're super close, but hearing your story and your story, it's just fun to.
Yeah,
to
it
get
is
to know.
interesting because like we do see each other often and we
Yeah.
spend whole days together, but
Right.
like
Right.
We don't have the time to like deep dive.
yeah,
so, like,
we
when
don't
did
get to
this
know
start?
each other personally. Like,
Right.
you know, we know you on a professional level, but
Yeah.
yeah. So from a creativity standpoint, how do you find yourself staying inspired? like finding trends, doing different things. Like it seems like you're always trying to like, you know, you were the first to kind of do video and photo in the area, and now you have a really cool like live photo booth experience, even though it's
the
not
photo
really
looks.
like tell us about how you're finding and staying inspired for some of those ideas, and personally as well.
Right. That's actually such a good question because sometimes I don't even know. I'm a big thinker. I just ideas always come into my head, always, 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 and so I get inspired by people who maybe are not even in the wedding industry or in the photography field. I get inspiration from everywhere. If I go places, big cities, I love listening to podcasts. I love watching videos on YouTube and Instagram. I mean, all the things. But I kind of just gravitate, like I'll take a simple idea and just kind of like, okay, how can I make that bigger or better or set that apart or do it differently so it can fit into my business or fit into a couple's wedding day. And so the Photo Lux that you mentioned is more of like a glorified photo booth.
It's very Vanity Fair.
Yes,
That's like what they do at Vanity Fair. It's so cool.
I don't know. I made it up one day because I was just like, I see all these photo booths with like self done, you know, with the iPad and but okay, so this is how it happened. I just remembered. We were at a wedding and we were at the reception and I think it was in Cleveland or something, but bigger city. But the photographers just kind of went around and took pictures of people.
Yeah.
And but they were like intentional pictures. They were like, "Hey, can I get your picture?" type of thing. And there was no backdrop or anything. But at the end of their wedding, they printed all the pictures out. And I was like, "That's really cool."
Oh,
Like
cool.
I've never seen that before. And so I was just
Right.
like, "How can I implement that in my wedding days?" And I always like to elevate people in the way that they feel. I want to always make them like the best version of themselves and just make them feel like loved and cared for and seen.
Yeah.
And so I came up with this backdrop. It's an 8x8 backdrop, and we put out a red carpet, and there's an actual like studio light. And the difference is my husband is usually the one taking those pictures. So you're getting, instead of just an iPad picture, you're getting an actual photographer who knows what he's doing,
Right.
with professional equipment. And then you get, we are going back and forth between printing. I've done a printing thing one time, but normally it's just people can scan a QR code and they get a link to the gallery, which is up, by the end of the wedding day usually.
Right.
And then from there they have a digital version of that, and a lot of people use it for their party favors.
That's
for
cool.
couples, and it's always the greatest hit at a wedding day because not everybody likes to dance,
Right.
and
Right.
It's just a fun. You can add. We have word blurbs, but I really love when people are just like standing there taking
as a-
pictures, but they can add props if they want to.
As a favor, like we've talked about that in some of the other episodes. Like that's so much better than just like a koozie
Yes.
or something,
We love koozies.
We love koozies. We do. But that's something that's like super personal and
Right.
something that,
Pictures again.
Yeah, like-
It's memory makers. Yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah. So we do that, and I forget.
So how do you stay inspired? You kind of answered like personally, but with your business to kind of like always meet the trend or the next best thing, or, posing has changed so much, and now people are
Yes.
throwing flashes at people. And before it was like, never see the flash or never give a blurry photo. And now blurry photos are popular. Like, how do you stay inspired from your photo standpoint and keeping up? Like, obviously there's the Ashley Ray style and you want to keep your style, but always, the next best thing. What are you looking for?
Yeah, tweaking that. That's a good question. I kind of lead off my couples. Before their wedding day, 2 months before their wedding day, I always give them a questionnaire to fill out. It goes through from start to finish on their wedding day, and it gives them an opportunity to ask what pictures they are looking forward to or what trends they want to see. And so, kind of based off of that, every couple is different. So not every couple is going to like those blurry photos or those hard flashes. And so getting to know your couple personally, that's the beauty of that questionnaire. It gets to have myself refine what they want and tailor it to their wedding day.
Now, do a lot of your couples, do you do like engagement photos as well? So that's another opportunity to meet and like physically see how they interact with each other. And
yeah. So my collections, I love the way I've done my collections. There's a base collection that usually is full coverage, so up to 8 hours on a wedding day. Includes me as your lead photographer, digital downloads, and then printing rights to your pictures. But then from there, you can add one add-on or two add-ons is the next collection. The third collection is the 3 add-ons. Based on those add-ons, there's different things that you can choose, and they're all they're $500 differences, but they're included in that collection. So what I'm trying to say is not everybody's going to want a engagement session, but somebody might want a wedding album or a second photographer, things like that. So, but normally everybody usually the top choices of their add-ons are usually a engagement session and a second photographer, and then from there it's usually either a photo lux or a wedding album, or there's print credit, or there's up to 2 additional hours if they want more of like a longer session or
a little bit more into the party, a little bit more into the party atmosphere.
Yep.
Now, what do you, if you could tell your couples anything, like give them advice, like you are helping them, like timeline wise, when do you prefer to be booked? And then what's some advice that you would give your couples to make that process really like smooth, the entire process?
Yeah. I typically book 12 to 18 months out. Okay. It just depends on the year, but that's where I see the trend. I think ever since COVID happened, which people have been booking earlier and earlier. But there is also a trend that people are having smaller and smaller weddings, and so people are booking later and later. So it just depends. I guess it just depends on the wedding. If you're gonna have a huge wedding, then I would say earlier the better. That 12 to 18 month mark is really a good time frame. And then if you're having a smaller wedding, anything closer to your wedding day is great. If you are having more of like a Friday or a Sunday or a weekday wedding.
Right, because that's the one thing is that if you want your photographer or any vendor that you like, don't wait.
Yes.
The longer that you wait, even if it's small, even if it's intimate, the longer that you wait, the better chance that you have of losing that person. Right. And a photographer is it's I think from my perspective, like you get your venue and then you get your photographer. And I know several people that get their photographer and then their venue because they know that that's that's such a special like part of the day, and you know how you want your memories to look like for forever. So, I mean, even if you have a small wedding, you do not wait 3 months before your wedding unless you're not going to cry because you don't get the people that you want. So that's kind of scary.
Yeah. Well, and from a timeline standpoint, I know like especially in Ohio here in Northwest Ohio, the seasons.
Yes.
We part of our packages is they can come take their pictures here. And normally if they're getting married in the fall, they don't also want fall engagement pictures. So what is normally that you see the timeline for like engagement booking and then engagement pictures and then wedding? Like how far apart do those things normally happen?
I like to let my couples choose because sometimes I tend to attract couples that kind of are strong and confident in what they want. They don't need a lot of help or, they kind of, because of my prices or not my prices, but my collections, it's very customizable.
Yeah.
And so I would say most couples, I always reach out to them a year before their wedding, if they've already booked prior to, just to get the conversation started if they're going to do an engagement session. But I like to do more of a 4 to 6 months, so closer to your wedding day, only because if you've never had professional pictures done, you've never been in front of a camera before, it keeps that relevancy of knowing how it is to work together. Yeah. And it's a dress rehearsal to your wedding day. So that's what I always say is...
Well, and it kind of breaks the ice.
It does,
like because in engagement pictures, like Sometimes you're making out, you're kissing, you're hugging, you're loving. Like, you have to feel comfortable in front of the camera. So I think by doing engagement pictures, if that's something that makes the couple nervous, like go for the engagement pictures because it makes your wedding day photography also so much more comfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Engagement sessions are my favorite because there's the really one time, if we haven't met prior, that's one time we really get to know each other. I mean, even if we do meet prior, it's more of like a surfacey level.
Right. You see
do you have any questions?
personalities.
Yeah, meeting.
See, like,
Yeah. But your engagement session is, I always say, of course there's butterflies at first.
Yeah.
But I always ease them by saying, hey, we're just hanging out. And while we hang out, we're going to take pictures. So, and every single time, if the guy's like not into it or just a bit nervous or whatever, the guy at the end, he's like, that was actually pretty fun. So
it doesn't have to be pulling teeth,
No,
fellas.
not
Like,
at
it
all,
doesn't
not
have to
at
be
all.
pulling teeth. And the more open you are to it, the happier your fiance is going to be as well.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
these are memories for them, for the guys as well, not just the girls. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Celebrate everything at 19 Hawthorne Wedding and Event Venue. Centrally located in the heart of Northwest Ohio, 19 Hawthorne is the place to welcome family and friends as you celebrate life's most important moments. Our mission is to create sophisticated luxury in a timeless, natural setting. Our desire is to drive the creative spirit forward, creating an environment that guests will remember for years to come. When you and the people you love celebrate with us, together we establish unforgettable memories. Create the perfect day of joy and celebration. Learn more at 19hawthorne.com. So there's obviously the timeline of leading up, but then there's this magic. The photographer is the keeper of the timeline for the day of.
Yeah.
And I always tell my couples during our BEO meetings that we have with them 30 days before, like, have you met with your photographer? Do you know what their kind of standard timeline is? And it's so nice when they're like, oh, yep, here it is. We've already been working on it. And I know you go over that with your couples. So tell us a little bit about, like, timeline day of. Like, what time do photographers normally arrive?
Yeah.
If you're doing that 8-hour aspect, you know when you're going to be leaving. If you get there at 10, what do you try to squeeze in that? And then I really want you to talk about first looks.
I love it.
Please talk about how good they are. I mean, there's a tradition aspect of it, but like if you're having your wedding all in one place, which is what a lot of people choose to do here at 19 Hawthorne, how important that first look is, because it does get some scary things out of the road, and it just gives you more time.
Yeah, it does. I'm very flexible either way. So traditionally, if a bride or groom wants to, I'm no pressure to that. But
Correct.
I realized something on my wedding day that I'm like, light bulb moment. Your wedding day is one day, which I know is like but if you see your fiance beforehand, that's all the more time you get to actually celebrate and spend together.
Yeah.
Because it's all about you.
you're not hiding from each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's super like you're marrying that person, obviously. And so that person calms you down. And it's just the anticipation of like leading up to, I don't really get I understand why people still like that reveal down the aisle, but I love when I've had a few couples who have actually done like a sunrise first look.
Oh, cute.
Which one of them happened at my house. It was so fun, but they saw each other first thing. So she had a dress. She had her dress on, but she didn't have her hair done. She had her makeup done.
Yeah.
And it was just so fun because it was just like super relaxed. And they had breakfast afterwards. Because they've seen each other after like her makeup was done, but then she had a different updo, so an actual updo.
Yeah.
So it was more of like a surprising moment down the aisle because she had two looks.
Yeah.
Right.
But they got a ton of pictures out of the way, and it is so nice to just. I always say, I like to take the best pictures in the shortest amount of time.
Right. The pictures that everyone sees and that you look at for the rest of your life.
Yes, pictures are absolutely important. That's why you hire somebody who knows what they're doing. But if you can get all of those out of the way, like your wedding day is about celebrating with your favorite people.
Right.
It's about you guys. It's not about me. It's not about
Right.
me taking pictures.
Well, and that probably takes, because I've literally been in this building where bridesmaids and groomsmen are like yelling at each other to like, are you out there?
Yeah.
Are you, and like for an hour while I'm setting up dessert.
The pressure and the anxiety, if you do that first look, that removes from the
It
entire
does.
day for everyone, makes your day so much more enjoyable.
It does.
Like
it really
you
does.
work so hard to plan all this, and then like you don't get to see each other till after 5 o'clock.
That's
so
what I'm
half the day
saying.
is
Yeah.
gone, and
Yeah.
it's like if I can do my first look at like 1:30 or even earlier,
Right.
Like it really makes it so you can like spend the day together and
Right.
just enjoy the moments and the
You're
the
going
sweet
to
tender
remember
things.
a lot more too
Yeah.
when you see each other beforehand, because like I said, like you have all those butterflies and you're anticipating all this stuff, and like all this time's going by and you're not seeing each other, you're not spending it together.
Right.
You don't really remember life, that day prior to seeing each other. So I'm a big fan of first looks. Going back to your timeline
One mark
question.
for Ashley. Yeah, likes the first look.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm super flexible, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean it is a tradition,
but I think
hope
it's-
it's one that disappears.
I do think a lot of tradition is disappearing, and we can talk about that later as far as trends go and things like that. But back to your timeline question, I like to be there 3 hours prior to the ceremony.
Yeah.
It leads. It's usually the tail end of your getting ready. So I always say I want to show up when your hair and makeup's almost finished, because then most women are like,
You want to feel
you know,
pretty.
confident,
Yeah.
Right.
camera ready is what I'm trying to say. So 3 hours prior to your ceremony, I'll usually show up and start with your details. So I'll say a quick hello, and I'll take your details, which is, like I said, we have a meeting beforehand. So I love to, that's one of my favorite parts about wedding planning is getting to do this timeline for my couples, because couples usually aren't married before, and so they
Right.
have no idea what they're doing. And if they haven't hired anybody to help them, that's just what I like to do, because every photographer is different, and
Right.
and that's what I love about getting to do the photo timeline part of it. So
You were the first ever photographer to give me a timeline.
really,
Yeah. Hands
goodness.
down, the first one. And I was like, oh, thank you. Because a lot of people around here don't have planners. And when I think that was still at a time pre-COVID where like photographers were kind of like holding on to their timeline or not necessarily sharing it. Well, that's important for all your vendors to know, like, okay, this is when everything starts, or like, we can
Like,
get
I'm
out of
using
your
this
way.
kind of frosting, and I can only be there from this time to this time, or the cake will melt.
Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
It's important to know that stuff from a vendor and a venue standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, this is when it's okay to roll the trash cans out, because we don't want them in all of your shots.
or when the
Right.
caterer can come because they're not taking outside photos and
Correct.
like all that kind of stuff.
right, yeah. So 3 hours
Yeah.
beforehand, and then I usually stay till about shortly after the main events are over. So about 20 to 30-ish minutes into open dancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as far as sunset sessions, I know you mentioned sunrise.
Yeah.
But I have noticed a huge trend here with you and many other photographers as well. Like, they kind of get everything done. The dancing starts, the reception has started, and then they take everybody out for a sunset session is what people call it. But it's really just more pictures. At that point, everybody's a little more relaxed. They've eaten, they went to the bathroom. Like, it's usually just the couple, the photographer, me driving the golf cart, and sometimes the videographer.
Actually, I love it.
Going out into, our space. Talk about the pictures that you capture there as
Yeah.
opposed to the rest of the day, and how they differ, and how, from what I've seen, like, those are usually people's most favorite
They
photos.
are. It's all because of lighting. Lighting midday is going to be very much harsher and brighter. And lighting end of the day is that soft romantic glow that everybody loves. And like you touched on, everybody's more relaxed. You've already had pictures, so you might have a few drinks in you anyways too. But it just is, I love breaking up that session just to get you don't get it very much alone time. So like, you know, if you do see each other beforehand, you might get a little time before the ceremony. You might get a tiny bit after the ceremony. But then that's your one kind of last chance to just break away, breathe, and take in that moment again with each other. I love sunset pictures because they are everybody is, like I said, they're loosened up and they just get to enjoy their wedding day. It's the sun is setting. They just kind of like think about their entire wedding day.
And that wasn't a thing, like, I'm sure you, as you know, you've been doing it 19 years as I did. Like, that was not a thing 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, to try to pull the bride and groom away from the ceremony, they would have been like, no. I mean, they would have told you. And now they're like, sure.
Yeah,
like, I want to do that. Like, that's awesome. So
I do like to watch out, though. I mean, I would never, ever, I hope this is the standard that I would never break away somebody if they're in the middle of something or there's something left to do. Like, I always find an opportune time where nobody knows they're missing.
Or people are like trying to finish eating.
Yeah.
Or like everything's kind of over. And
Right.
Yeah. I've noticed that like when they do try to squeeze it in, it's the time that's most convenient for the bride and groom, which is great.
Yeah.
As far as other timeline questions, before we go on to all the others crazy, and you had mentioned like this whole trends that are changing, which I want to talk about. So family pictures sometimes are intimidating and scary because you got to put, you know, Aunt Beth with Grandma Susan who doesn't get along.
It's all good.
How long do you normally leave for family pictures?
I leave about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. I have a system in my head where, like, again, referencing that questionnaire that I get prior to, I know everybody, their names, their titles, and the groupings that they want. And so I like to start with a big first, like, so extended family first, because that they're usually only there for one picture,
right?
And they're done, and they just want
and then they head to the bar, right?
Yeah. So I get those extended family pictures first, and then I work my way in. So
that's smart though.
Oh my goodness, it's so nice to just either take out the bride or take out the groom.
Not have to make grandma move 4 times.
Yeah. No.
Those are things to think about.
Yeah. So I love when my couples give me permission to my system instead of having like this checklist of like just
right.
You know,
You're
grandma
the professional, right?
Yeah.
You know how to make things go bam, 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 bam.
I get their heart behind it.
Yeah.
They don't want me to miss a picture, and I absolutely get that. But I again, I will get every single picture. I'll get the bride with the mom, the bride with the mom and dad, the bride with the dad.
All
you
the
know,
list. Check
all
off
the
the
list,
list.
all the different
and have a
combinations.
bridesmaid get those people queued up. Like you're on deck, you're next. Like if you have that for your photographer or they have a second shooter that does it, it's so helpful.
It is.
Because it's corralling.
Yeah.
It's like corralling cats. Trying to get them together. It's painful. And something else that I've noticed that I love with family pictures, and I think this harpens back to like at the church, everybody would just stand up and you would get it right where the ceremony took place. But now a lot of photographers are moving the family pictures to a different location where potentially the light's better or it's a little shadier if it happens to be hot. Yeah. And every time they do that, I just want to hug the photographer because like the background is pretty. Yeah. And you know, you spent $1,500 on getting the floral arch, but sometimes just the pretty woods where you can focus on the 13 people in the picture is even better. Yeah. And I think like having that conversation with your photographer beforehand to be like, hey, if it's hot down here, you know, we're willing to go stand in the forest and get our picture taken is important because some people are like, well, this is where the ceremony is. So this is where I will take all my family pictures. And it's like, okay, we can get some, but like if we have a whole group of people and they're out 40 feet on each side, like this maybe might not be the best place.
Yeah, for sure. I like to always tell my couples to tell the people that are going to be in those family pictures, tell them ahead of time. A great time to do that is at the rehearsal, just to stick around and go to the photographer's lead to, you know, we're doing pictures directly after either the meet and greet type of thing, or we're doing pictures directly after we walk down the aisle.
Right. Another thing that I think people get a little nervous about when photography nerves is their relationship with the videographer, if they hire a separate videographer, or if they happen to use, your package where you and your husband are shooting photo and video.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your relationships with the videographers
Yeah.
and then also, working with your husband doing both.
It's never a scary thing. I know there's like some sort of connotation of like photographers and videographers
scary.
are like, it's never,
It's like,
I don't
it
know.
doesn't have to be like this, guys. We can all be friends.
Right. I know. So I guess I'm just super go with the flow. I'm super chill. I'm super like, whatever is happening in this moment, it's going to take care of itself. I'm not worried. I'm confident in my
I've never heard Ashley
directions.
say a negative thing about anybody. And I'm 8 years, 9 years now.
you.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever heard her say like a bad thing about anybody. So like, but I think that's part of your professionalism as well.
Yeah.
Then like why
It
you can
always
vibe
works
with
out.
everybody. Like,
Yeah. It
that's a
always
big
works
deal.
out. Yeah. Yeah. No. So I love working with videographers. I'm super chill. I'm, like I said,
Well, and
go
I
with the
think
flow.
what's nice when I've watched you shoot, because I spend quality time with both, is like I love that you do your thing and then you're like, okay, video team, you're up. And I think that's because you have worked with your husband so long.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I got to capture this, but because he does this, like I got to make sure he has the time to capture it too.
Yeah, no, I'm super efficient with my posing in my head. I go by actions, and that's what a lot of videographers like anyways, because they like that for their video, obviously, naturally. And so, I work fast and efficient. And if a videographer, I always ask them because it's honorable to, they're there for a job too, and they've got they're hired because that couple loves them too, and so I want to make sure they get their style. But 9 times out of 10, they're like, we're good. But no, working with my husband too. Like we do hybrid videography and photography as a combination in a wedding day. I can do both photo and video as one person, and then when he comes along, he could do both photo and video. And I haven't seen that around here yet, which I'm super okay with. But it's kind of that one step ahead type of trend.
Right. Well, that was going to be our next question is like, how have you stayed relevant? Because I remember when I first got to know you, I think it was those smoke bomb photos and it went viral. And like, I think that was one of the first times that like somebody around here had gone like super viral for something. And you are still here and you're still relevant and you're still known as one of the best. So like, how have you done that to stay, to be so successful?
Yeah, that I mean, honestly, listening to your couples, because that smoke bomb, I've seen it before, but I'm not going to push it if it's not somebody's style, And so that smoke bomb photo, which it was the most beautiful picture I think I've taken in a long time, but it's one of my favorites for sure. That was the couple. They wanted they had that idea, and so they brought that, and it was just like the perfect lighting conditions. It was the sunset hour, of course, and my husband went around. I'm sure he loved it, but yeah, it's just listening to your couples, I think, and just staying up on the latest trends of it. Really, I mean, I don't really have a solid answer for like where I'm getting my information because I pull from everything. Right. I love to learn, and so I'm listening to creative podcasts or watching some video that pops up that has no relevancy with what I'm doing, but it gives me an idea that inspires me, and I kind of lead from there.
Lifelong learning.
Yes.
We said it in our first episode. Like, if you, like, as a creative, you're constantly picking up and learning.
I think that's the beauty of being a creative. That's it. Like, I mean, there's inspiration kind of comes from yourself because everybody is made differently. Everybody has a thumbprint, and it's all different, and so. There's room for me. There's room for you. Right. There's room for every single person, even if we do the same things.
So we have to ask, because obviously I'm 19 Hawthorne, April's Cake Lady. Let's talk about why you love shooting at Hawthorne.
Yes.
And then let's talk about cake pictures.
Okay. I love
and
it.
cutting the cake and, if they choose to have a cake, like why those can be super cute and fun and different.
Yeah.
So first, why do you love shooting here?
Aw, so many different answers.
Because of me.
Yes. No, honestly, I mean, it makes a difference. It really makes a difference who your vendors are, who the people involved in your venue are, and the team that you have around everybody. But I know you, even without knowing you, I know you have a big mind.
Well, apparently, we're a lot alike. We're twins.
You're a big dreamer. I'm a big dreamer. And that's what I love about 19 Hawthorne is you guys are that one step ahead too. You guys are always doing something, always trying new things, always kind of improvising and implementing and trying things out. You had that those umbrellas.
Oh yeah, we got some
what
really
are they
great
called?
shots. Like there's the parasail umbrellas.
Yeah. You brought those out one time. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so fun. So
Yeah,
it's just things happen by chance as far as the creativity goes, kind of back to your other question of being relevant. But
What about the property itself?
yes, the property, there is so many different options. I think my favorite part is, well, there's two favorite parts. There's that like, it's back there.
The path.
The
Yeah.
path
Yeah,
with
everybody
the
says-
trees.
everybody knows.
Yes,
The path.
with the trees, because any season is going to look beautiful, and just that light is all at the right spot. And then my second favorite is the woods. I usually go over there first, the woods in the earlier of the day, because that sun is just in the right spot.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any harsh shadows or anything. It's just really dainty and pretty, and depending on what season, but usually all around, it's good. And then I guess my third one, I keep thinking of things, and I'm like,
there's
just
of
so
spots.
many.
But I think that's what's cool about when you pick somebody off the preferred vendors list. Like Ashley has been here, and
She
she's
knows
been
where the
here
good
so many
spots are.
times. Like
Yes.
she's not having to search and hunt.
No.
If you're busy, you're like, here's the golf cart keys, and
Yeah.
like you know where those locations are already and what time they work best. And that's like such a foot up to somebody that's never been here before.
Because it's
Right.
big. Like
Yeah.
to explore 240
yes.
acres is like, okay, we're gonna go over here.
Sometimes I like to ask you, like, where do you want to go? Like, because
Yeah, we do.
You-
I mean, we spend time exploring the
Right.
property, and like we
You know
know
best
when the
too.
wildflowers are blooming in
Right.
the back, and where the good red tree is in the
Right.
fall.
Right.
and
yeah,
Something we definitely watch out for.
yeah. So
What about cake cutting
cake cutting? I
from the cake lady?
yes,
I love that you get me pictures of people cutting the cake. I cannot tell you how many times people send me albums and there's no pictures of the cake or the dessert bar. And I'm like, people have spent
Wow.
money
So
on
much
this.
money, yeah.
Or there's
Details are important.
one picture of the cake. Like I remember starting to do photo shoots and I was like, can I get a picture of the couples with the cake? And people are like, why? Like, what do you mean why? Like,
Yeah.
I love showing pretty cakes, but I love showcasing that couple at the
Yeah.
same time. And you always give me a couple photos, so I love
And
you
your
for
cake
that.
weddings are.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
April, I love working with you. I mean, you are so creative. I've said this before. You have a gift.
Thanks,
You
love.
have a gift. I mean, you do too.
Don't make us cry on the podcast.
No, you genuinely, you stand out. I mean,
you.
as far as that goes, and I don't know. You're all around the best.
Well, we love you too. And it makes a big difference because it's nice as another vendor, especially since we all work together. It's always nice to feel appreciated. And when your work gets to be showcased, like that's, if you're another wedding vendor, like that's how you like build relationships. Like,
Right.
you know, I just spent all week on these desserts and this cake, and like to get an album and there's nothing in there of my work, like that's a little soul crushing, you know. And obviously I know cakes aren't as important as family photos and all of this other stuff, but it's always nice, like you know, obviously you're like, oh, that's a good shot that includes like this cool part of the property, you know, all of that stuff. Like, and if we have access to that, then we like to share that.
We like to share it off.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know, that's a big part of building that community and like that love that we all have for each other, I think is a big deal.
So now that we're into the sappy part of
Oh.
the podcast, let's talk about what is your favorite part of the wedding day and being involved in the wedding day as the photographer, but just as a person. Like, you came out with the I love marriage and I love love. But
really
like,
do.
what is your most favorite part
Yes.
of the day to capture for the couples and their relationship? Because you're not just coupling, you know, you're capturing them as people. You're capturing them as a couple.
Right.
And like, that's the pictures that we'll see, obviously, for generations to come.
Right.
Like, what is your favorite part?
Yeah, I always cry. I always cry on this ceremony part. I mean, just because I love just the commitment and the honor and just all that marriage represents. I think it's super it's just good.
No crying on the podcast.
Yeah, no. But no, from there, like I genuinely do love capturing the couple. I mean, I love my job. I love of every aspect of it, from inquiry to delivery. I mean, getting to know the couple is my favorite part about the wedding day is getting to celebrate with friends.
Yeah.
You know, because they've become friends, and even if it's for a short time that you don't see each other, you know, long after that wedding day, but I still want to be intentional with providing them everything that they want to remember their day with. And so I mean, I don't have like a specific moment of like, this is my favorite, because it's really not about me. It's about that couple and capturing what's important to them. And so I'm more of an in the moment kind of girl. Like I love walking in on a wedding day and seeing the hair and makeup and getting to capture that for them, and then their details and their you know.
Don't you as a photographer, what I love is like I can go to a couple whose wedding I shot 18 years ago, 16 years ago, 15 years ago, and like it's like yesterday, because you do make this really interesting connection with them.
Yeah.
And then most likely you become Facebook friends or whatever with them afterwards, and like you get to see their little family grow, or them as a couple get to go explore the world, and like that means a lot.
Yeah.
Like out of any other vendor,
Yeah.
like you are the one that like potentially I'm going to use for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they might order some cakes from you, but like April's not necessarily spending quality time with these people every couple of years.
Right.
And you know, once you kind of book a wedding photographer, you almost like book a photographer for life.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And like now post photography retirement, as I call this, like I still have people reach out to me constantly and like want me to shoot. So I send them to the people that I love, but it's so interesting.
Yeah. It's the connection. It's really, because it's an intimate moment. It's an intimate part of your life that you can't just share with the person on the street or just book a photographer, not know them.
And
like
you need to be comfortable. Like to get good pictures, the people that you're photographing need to be comfortable with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to be stick figures, and no matter how talented somebody is, it's still going to not come across.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, if you've photographed their biggest day, how crazy is that when you're going to photograph their newborn?
Yeah.
Right.
That's so cool.
So tell us a little bit about post-wedding. There's obviously what the wedding happens. Like, what is normal turnaround time? Do people still print photos? If so, are they getting canvas prints? Do you find a lot of people like getting albums? Do you find that some people like just download their pictures and never do anything with them? Like, because I know that there's people out there that do that. Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah. My turnaround time is 4 to 6 weeks, but I like to get that done a lot sooner. That trend is changing too, and I'm not going to go super into that because it's more of like
we could talk about it all day long.
Yeah.
Like, I want my photos in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Lights come on. I want them now.
And
like,
I can do that.
Everybody wants it
Technically,
so
I can
soon.
do that. No, but I don't see that. AI has come a long way, and that's kind of like the biggest tool in my tool bag. Working with the latest industry things to make my workflow go a lot smoother and a lot more what's the word?
Efficient.
Yeah. And make everything look seamless and perfect. So I like to offer like little surprises like that along the way. I like to I always get this wrong.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
Now, what services do you have that you wish people used more?
They really they use the services that I like.
Yeah.
And do most people buy prints from you? Like, are they getting prints? Are they getting at least an album?
It just depends on what their add-on choices are. What's valuable to them. So if an album is something that they want, they absolutely will get that. We talk about that right after their or soon after their gallery delivery. We'll start to design that. But usually most people get their images in a gallery, and if they have print credit that they've chosen, they can use that. But all of their galleries come with a store, and I like to make super affordable prices. It's attached to a professional print company, so it's not going to be like your photo I don't know, Walmart or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, you're not
prints.
picking them up at CVS.
Yeah. So they're, they're priced accordingly, but they're still cheap enough to where, I if you're going to invest in somebody with high quality images, I want you to have high quality prints. So not a lot of people print, but that's what I love pushing towards, because a lot of times they sit on a gallery and
Right.
they don't do anything with them.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm going to put my fireman hat on.
Yes.
Because my dad always told me this, like as a firefighter, because he's literally watched people's houses
True.
burn down in front of them. From a standpoint of taking your pictures, obviously downloading them, putting them somewhere, but then making sure you have backups.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're
Right.
keeping things for a little while. They
Right.
should keep them forever.
Yeah.
But having these backups and giving one to your parents and your grandparents and putting one in maybe a safety deposit box. And
Right.
as flash drives go out of thing and CDs go out of
Right.
thing, like updating them to the next system. So you have
Right.
these, like if we're not going to have physical pictures like
Right.
this
Yes.
in 50 years, like
Right.
you have to continue
You need
to
a
make
digital
sure.
copy of
Yeah,
it.
it's important.
For sure. And my galleries offer that. I have what's called a cloud subscription. So usually my galleries go offline 1 year to your wedding day. Just for, if you want that cloud subscription, it's super affordable. It's like $5 a month.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But it keeps your gallery online. It's safe. It's, and you can always go to it. And then if I have, print sales or anything like that, that always comes with it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So there's super good incentives for just
Well,
having
Christmas presents, family presents,
Right.
like anything like that.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
But nobody thinks about like that backup. And I've literally had past couples call me and they're like, hey, like we moved and we lost, 'cause back in the day, you used to just give people a flash drive. That's what, like we lost the flash drive and I'm crazy and I keep everything, as I'm sure most photographers do. But like, you have to be responsible. Like after the photographer hands them over, they're your responsibility, not theirs anymore.
Right.
And like, be smart with that because people aren't smart.
As the cake lady, I have to know, cake cutting before or after dinner. What do you prefer?
I like it before.
Before?
I do.
This is why you're my favorite. Oh my God, I love you. It drives me crazy. Yes, get it done. Then you can like
Lot of meat.
eat and then you can throw a party afterwards. Like nobody's paying attention to the cake once everybody's trying to stuff their faces.
That's kind of like with the trends coming and going. I've seen more and more people not even make a big deal about cake cutting. Like they don't even want to announce. And
It's just a couple or maybe some of the close family.
Now, the people want the cake and they want the
cake.
desserts.
Yeah. And that's why I like
But
it beforehand.
they don't care.
No, they don't.
And that's,
They really
I'm
don't.
fine with that. Like
Right.
that's totally cool. It's just I fight with some photographers that don't want the cake cutting to be until like 8:30 at night.
Yeah, because then you have
I'd
to try
rather
to
get
like keep the
everything
kids
done.
away. As
Yeah.
a venue person, it stresses me out because I got to keep people away from the table, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not fighting some kid for a cookie.
Sometimes I would love my couples to kind of like put their footsteps in, like as you were as a guest, because everybody's been to a wedding, and pay attention, write those things down of like what you're drawn to or what's super important to you as a guest.
Yeah.
And then kind of cater that to your wedding day, because your ceremony is all about you, and it should be, but your reception should be all about your guests.
Well, and
the way
I've
they feel.
literally seen somebody go and stick their fingers in the cake.
Oh my
So like
goodness.
if
Happens all the time.
people go and they go to see if it's real. It's the craziest thing. So the sooner you cut that bad boy, the better.
And sometimes it's like people that are too old to do that. And they do it.
And they
I
do
literally watch them, then they're like,
Serious.
I'm like,
my word.
they just lick the cake.
Oh my goodness.
It happens a lot.
Test it before you try
Especially
it.
if they get a couple drinks in them. It's like, hey, let's go test the cake. Well, Ashley, we've learned so much, but we have this crazy thing that we do at the end of every episode, and it can be about your own wedding or your dream wedding, where we're going to ask you rapid questions.
Okay.
So, if you were to get married again, or you can tell us where you got married the first time, where would you pick as a location?
I would pick, honestly, somewhere intimate, my backyard. Yeah. Sometimes. No, we got married at ONU, and it was a super. I would do my wedding day all over again, just because being a wedding photographer, I know what's stressful, and I did not want my my stress levels to be up. I wanted to enjoy my day. And so we did a intimate ceremony and just had our immediate family. We had no bridesmaids, groomsmen. It was just us, our immediate family, and our grandparents. And I would do it in a heartbeat all over again. I dreamed of always having that big wedding. But my husband now, he's like, why? I mean, he was more of like, I don't like crowds and people, and I get that.
Our husbands are very similar. Our
Really?
husbands are very similar.
Yeah.
We didn't have anybody stand up with us either.
Yeah.
Wedding colors.
Ooh, I would do a palette for sure.
Yeah.
Really anything that you're into. I don't know.
Yours. What
Yeah,
was
your
yours?
wedding.
Mine, so I would do like the whites, the creams, the greens, the blacks, the golds, and
Nice. So like neutral. It's very
neutral,
like smooth.
classy, classic, timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
What is one weird idea that you've seen that now you wish you could have included in your day?
Weird idea.
Or something fun and different.
Yeah. I had this idea and I forget it now. But no, we did. So before it was a trend, we actually did the table to table pictures.
Cute.
And that was 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So now that it's coming back, I'm like, oh, I already did this. Let me tell you how this is done. No, I already know about this. So it's always funny when people ask, do you know about this trend? I'm like, I did it.
Yeah, I started it. No big deal. Most important part of your day, in your opinion? Like, what's the most important part of a wedding day?
Honestly, I'm going to kind of like deviate from that question. I'm going to say the most important part is to think about what you want your wedding day to feel like.
Ooh, okay.
And plan from there. Have that wedding why and don't deviate from it. Make all your decisions based off of how you want to feel and how you want your guests to feel.
That's that's legit.
Well spoken, like a true photographer. We're going to end on that note. But Ashley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
And teaching us all about the back end of photography and all the fancy things. April's phone's going off. Cheater.
It's on airplane mode. Why is it going off?
It's your alarm clock. Wake up.
I thought it was the music to the outro.
She secretly has had cookies baking the whole time, and she's got to get her cookies. Anyways, thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I hope and pray to be back.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks for listening to Celebrate at 19 Hawthorne, the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Join us next time.